Today, I have the honor of speaking with Ken Kunken, a man whose life is a testament to perseverance and faith. After a football accident at Cornell University left him paralyzed from the shoulders down, Ken didn't stop dreaming or achieving. He returned to Cornell to finish his degree in engineering, earned two master's degrees, and later graduated from Hofstra Law School. For more than 40 years, he served as an assistant district attorney in Nassau County, eventually becoming deputy bureau chief. Ken is also a proud husband, father of triplet boys, and author of I Dream of Things That Never Were, the Ken Kunken story. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Abby Dominguez. This is Heart to Heart with Abagaba podcast, and I'm so glad you're here. I spent over a decade as a nanny and teacher, learning from children and families around the world. Now I bring those lessons to you, heart to heart conversations with people from all walks of life, sharing stories of love, laughter, and resilience that remind us of the power of connection and community. Subscribe today and join our village of Heart to Heart listeners. Ken, welcome to Heart to Heart with Abagaba, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Abby, and thank you for having me as your guest.
You are so welcome. I'm speaking with you from Mesa, Arizona. Where do I have the pleasure of speaking with you from today?
I'm on Long Island in New York State.
Lovely. I am so inspired by your journey, and I'd love to start by asking, what was life like for you in those early days after your injury, and what helped you begin to rebuild hope?
Well, I had a spinal cord injury in 1970. I was 20 years old. I had just begun my junior year in college, and I was injured making a tackle on a kickoff on a lightweight football game at Cornell University. What was it like? Well, I instantly became paralyzed. I have almost no movement below my shoulders, and I lost almost all feeling in my body as well. I have no feeling a few inches below my shoulders and down. So when you say what was it like, it was devastating, absolutely devastating. And I really didn't know what was happening to me. I had heard I had broken my neck, but I didn't know anything about spinal cord injuries. The doctors told me very little about my injury. So I was pretty much kept in the dark for quite a while as to why I couldn't move and what was happening to my body.
That must have been such a challenging time. I can't even say challenging, devastating. You said it so right. Ken, your story is one of extraordinary courage and faith. When you look back at that turning point in your life, what gave you the strength to keep moving forward when everything had changed?
It was definitely my family and friends. They've been very supportive to me from the moment I was born through my entire life, but particularly after my injury. They were there with me every step of the way, kept encouraging me that there was still a lot I could do with my life and not to lose hope.
Before we dive into your incredible career and achievements, I'd love to hear a bit more about your mindset and what drives you.
Well, once again, I would have to give all the credit to my family. Just to tell you a little bit more about me, Abby, my mother died when I was less than 1 month old. So my family has been used to facing tragedies. My mother died during the polio epidemic in 1950. And at that time, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and they became such a tremendous influence in my life. And they taught me so much in terms of values, character, motivation, and just the desire to do the right thing by everybody, to be helpful to others when you can. And I just learned so much from them. And I was so fortunate that they've been by my side every step of the way.
Oh, I'm so thankful for family. You've spoken about the importance of keeping expectations high, both for yourself and for others. Why do you think that matters so much?
Well, when I was first in the hospital, when I was actually in the rehabilitation center, I met a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, had been hurt a lot longer than I was, and they didn't seem to be doing much with their lives. And I believe that was because the people in the medical profession didn't have high expectations for others. Once somebody had a spinal cord injury, they did not seem to be encouraged to do more with their lives. And I believe that people often rises and falls based upon what others expect of them. And if people don't expect much from you, or you don't expect much from yourself, you're probably not going to do a lot. So it's so important to keep your expectations high for others, but for yourself in particular. And I think that made a big difference in my life. My family always maintained high expectations for me, and that continued well after my injury.
Oh, I just love that perspective. Holding yourself and others to high expectations really sets the tone. What keeps you going on hard days? And what helps you stay grounded and motivated?
Well, right now, it's definitely my wife, Anna, and my children. All I need to do is look at them, spend some time with them, and that keeps me motivated and inspired and willing to do everything I can to make not only my life better, but their lives better as well.
I really admire that. It's such a reminder to all of us about perseverance. You've accomplished so much. What inspires you to keep pushing to be the best version of yourself?
Well, once I lost all movement, I knew that I had to make the most of my mental abilities. So I knew I had to go back to school and continue with my education so that I could then go out and hopefully have a productive career where I could help others. So I believe the help and support that I had to go back to school, to continue with my education, and see that there was still a lot I could personally do to not only lead a useful and productive life, but to help others do that as well.
Oh, that motivation is so powerful. I love that. So I wanted to know, it's amazing to hear how your mindset has shaped your journey and it clearly carried you into your career and the way you approach life. I wanted to know, what about, I want to talk about your professional path and legacy you're creating. What drew you to become a trial attorney? Was there something about that path that really spoke to you?
Well, it sure was. I mean, I was fortunate that soon after my injury, I took some electives in the field of psychology. And based on the recommendation of a psychology professor, I pursued a career in counseling. And once I was fortunate enough to get a job in counseling, I spoke before many groups and organizations concerning non-discrimination and affirmative action for people with disabilities. And after my talks, I was usually asked questions that I would do my best to respond to appropriately. But I was always careful to caution the questioners they should really consult with an attorney about their concerns. And I guess it didn't take long before I started to think, there's no reason why I couldn't become that attorney.
Yes,
So I decided to change my career goals and go to law school. And I have an older brother named Steve, who's 2 years older than I am, who was working at the time as a trial attorney for the Legal Aid Society.
yes,
And Steve encouraged me to actually do an internship at the district attorney's office, which I did after my second year, after my first, no, excuse me, after my second year of law school. I absolutely fell in love with the work they were doing. And that's the reason why I applied for a job with the district attorney's office when I graduated, and then was fortunate enough to be offered a position where I then worked there for more than 40 years.
that's amazing, Ken. That is so amazing. I wanted to know, what led you to write your book, I Dream of Things That Never Were. Was there a moment when you knew your story needed to be shared?
Absolutely. When I was first in the rehabilitation center, a friend of my Aunt Lorraine's by the name of Al Meglin came to visit me, and he encouraged me to write a book. He thought that one, it may help me deal with the depression I was going through at the time by talking more about it. But also, he felt that very few people knew what it was like to deal with a type of injury that I had and what it was like going through rehabilitation. So he encouraged me to start writing it. And we would start and stop a number of times. And I would put it down, and then a few years would go by and pick it up again. But I felt once my boys were born, and I actually have triplets, I have three wonderful sons.
Ah,
They're all now 20 years old, and they're juniors at three separate colleges in upstate New York. And I figured, I would like someday for them to be able to have a book they could look to that would detail my life,
yes,
not only what I went through, but how helpful our family has been for me to get to the position I'm at.
that is
I
so.
would say that it was my wife and my children that inspired me to continue working on my book. But let me just add one thing, Abby, about if I could add where I got the title of my book. 6 months after my injury, I was asked to testify before a United States Health Subcommittee chaired by Senator Edward Kennedy. And 8 days after my testimony, Senator Kennedy sent me a glass paperweight in the mail that had an inscription on it that the senator said his late brother Robert Kennedy liked very much. And the inscription read, "Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream of things that never were and say why not." And
Oh,
that's where I got the title of my book, I Dream of Things That Never Were.
it's a great title. I love it. When you look back over your journey, your career, your family, your impact, what are you most proud of?
Well, I'm most proud of the fact that not only did I show that somebody with a disability could work and work well, but
Yes.
not only work at an entry level position. When I worked at the district attorney's office, I eventually became a supervisor where I was helping supervise more than 25 other assistant district attorneys. Now, when I first started looking for a job before I went to law school, I had difficulty securing employment. Everybody seemed to feel that I was just too disabled to work. And I looked for a job for a year before I found one organization willing to give me the opportunity to show what I could do. And that organization is the Viscardi Center, which is located on Long Island. And they hired me to work as a vocational rehabilitation counselor for other individuals with disabilities. And working with other individuals with disabilities encouraged me to do more with my life and to try and help them in any way that I could.
That is truly remarkable. Your story is truly inspiring, both in what you've accomplished and in the example you've set for others. Beyond your work and achievements, I know life at home brings its own joys and challenges. Everyone faces stress in different ways. How do you handle stress, especially while balancing such a demanding career and a personal life?
That's a really interesting question because before my injury, one of the ways I handled stress was by being very physically active. Boy, when I had a stressful situation going on in my life, if I was able to go out on the football field or a different athletic field, I could take out all my frustrations out on the athletic field. After my injury, it was very difficult to find a release for the stress that I was feeling. So that's been very difficult and quite a challenge. I love spending time outdoors when I can, whether it be in nature or in particularly sitting by the water. But now, spending time with my wife and kids, I find that to be not only relaxing, but a wonderful way to get my mind and my attention outside of my own problems and focus more on them and what they're doing.
I really appreciate that insight. Managing stress is something we all relate to. And on a lighter note, what is it like being a father of triplet boys?
It's the greatest thing in the world. It has
Oh,
changed my life in so many different ways.
I love
I
it.
can't I can't wait to get up in the morning, spend time with my children when they're home, speak to them on the phone when they're away, and see what I can do to help them in any way, shape, or form to help them lead a happier, more productive life.
Oh, and how are they? So you mentioned they're 20 years old. Are they in college? I believe they're in college. And yeah,
My son James is a junior at the State University of New York, studying State University of New York at Morrisville, studying renewable energy. My son Timothy is a junior at Syracuse University, pursuing a dual major in communications and public affairs, and he wants to be a journalist. And my son Joseph is actually attending my alma mater, Cornell University, where he's majoring in mechanical engineering. All three are doing great. They're staying very close to each other as brothers. They're very close. They visit each other. They've gone to class with each other. They FaceTime all the, every chance they get. And I'm just so proud to be their father.
thank you so much for sharing that. I'm almost in tears. I became a mom of twins 18 months ago. Well, they're 18 months. So just hearing that just warms my heart. Speaking of attending Cornell University, what was it like being in college before your injury and after your injury?
Well, before my injury, I was thrilled to be up at Cornell. It's got an incredibly beautiful campus. The coursework was certainly very challenging. I met a lot of wonderful people. But I might add, though, that following my injury, I never realized before my injury all the architectural barriers that existed in the world, but particularly at Cornell. It was on a very inaccessible campus. Cornell's on a very hilly terrain in upstate Ithaca, New York. Virtually every one of its buildings has a lot of steps to get into it. And when I was hurt, there was not one ramp or curb cut on the entire campus. My first day back in class, I had to be either pulled up or bounced down close to 100 steps just to attend my first day back in class. Fortunately, because of the Americans with Disabilities Act, that's now changed, and there are ramps and curb cuts throughout the entire campus. I was recently up there visiting my son, and it is a totally changed atmosphere from when I was up there.
That is wonderful to go back and visit your son at the alma mater. And I can't be so proud. I'm super proud of you for all the academic achievements that you went on to achieve. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, well, when I was injured, I was studying industrial engineering at Cornell. Following my injury, I went back and completed my degree in industrial engineering.
That's remarkable.
But thank you, but it just didn't seem like a viable field back then. I mean, this was well before the age of laptop computers. And one of my psychology professors by the name of Dr. James Moss encouraged me to pursue a career in counseling. So I stayed at Cornell. I earned a Master of Arts degree there, majoring in counseling and student personnel administration. And then to increase my counseling credentials, I went to Columbia University, where I obtained my second master's degree. This one was in psychological counseling and rehabilitation. And I worked for more than 2 years as a vocational rehabilitation counselor before I left there to go to Hofstra University School of Law.
That is amazing. And I'm listening to your story, and it's truly inspiring. And well, do you mind sharing about you and your lovely wife, Anna, and how you met and this beautiful story that you have?
Well, actually, I needed to find a personal care attendant to help me with my daily needs. And a number of people suggested that I put an ad in the Polish Daily News, which is published here in America, because they found that there are a lot of well qualified individuals that look at that paper during the want ads to seek employment. So I put an ad there when I was looking for a weekend aide. I was so fortunate that the woman that later became my wife, her name is Anna, responded to the ad. I had the good sense to hire her, even though she had never done this work before. And once I got to know Anna. Our relationship kept getting closer and closer until it became a romantic relationship. And in 2003, Anna and I were married.
That is beautiful. Congratulations all over again. I
Thank you.
love that. And Ken, your story is so inspiring. I just cannot, I am so grateful and honored to be speaking with you today. Your life and message remind all of us that resilience, hope, and purpose can guide us through even the hardest challenges. What do you hope people take away from your story?
Well, I hope that everybody will be encouraged that there's a lot they can do no matter what challenges they face in life, no matter what adversities they have to overcome. With the right help, encouragement, and support, people can accomplish almost anything they set their minds to. I know I was fortunate to have that help and encouragement, and that helped me do more. And I might add that these days, for some reason, there seems to be some people who have a negative impression on the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. And I think that's so wrong. There's so much people can do if they're given the opportunity and
Yes,
if they're included in everyday activities rather than being excluded. And I think the fact that there's a lot of diversity here in America makes us a stronger country rather than weaker.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And I would like to, after this conversation is over, I'd love for listeners to be able to follow you and find your book. Do you have a website, social media handles? Where can we find your book?
Thank you. Well, they can go to my website, which is kenkunken.com, and that will tell them a number of different ways that they could get my book. I mean, Amazon is obviously one of the easiest ways, but I might add that my book is available not only in a hardcover copy, but it's out as an ebook and a Kindle version, as well as an audio version. And they can get that information on my website, kenkunken.com.
That is amazing that you have it in audio. Did you record it yourself? Is it in your own voice?
I actually did, and I did it by having my son Timothy actually do the recording for me.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
thank you.
I love that. And do you have any final thoughts to share with us today?
Well, basically, once again, there's so much everybody can do if given the opportunity. And I would just like to add one more topic. At the
Yes, please.
district attorney's office, when you leave the job, you go through what they call an exit interview. And I was told that many individuals, when they went through the exit interview, when they were asked what was the best part of their job, they indicated that it was meeting, working with, and getting to know me. And I'm
Oh,
not saying that, Abby, to boast or brag. I'm saying that because for many individuals, it was their first opportunity to spend a lot of time with somebody with a disability. And I think that they found that helped inspire and motivate them to work harder and do more with their lives. And I want to leave that as a thought that there's so much somebody with a disability can do, not only for themselves, but to help others as well.
that is truly inspirational. Inspirational. I am inspired just by listening to you. And there was one question I wanted to ask you that I forgot. Do you love sports and which one?
I still love sports. I live and die by watching the New York Jets football team every Sunday. As frustrating as it is, I'm an avid fan and I love still watching sports. I might add that my three sons are all avid martial artists. They're all second degree black belts in the sport Taekwondo. They've also studied some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I think it's so important for people to stay in good physical shape. And I'm so pleased that my children have done that. I think sports are great for so many different reasons,
Yes.
but keeping in the best physical shape is one of them.
Oh, yes. I totally agree. Um, I am so out of words. It's just been such a pleasure and honor meeting you. And I want to thank you so much again for being here today and gracing my audience with your light, your wisdom, your encouragement, and all the wonderful words that you've shared with us today.
Thank you, Abby.
You are so welcome. And my regards to your wife, Anna. I'm cheering for her for all the behind the scenes work that she's doing. I see a hand wave. Awesome. Ken, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us today. Your journey reminds us that even when life changes in unimaginable ways, purpose and perseverance can still lead us forward. You've shown us what it means to dream beyond limits and to live with strength, humility, and faith. To everyone listening, I hope Ken's story inspires you to keep believing in what's possible. You can learn more about his incredible journey in his book, I Dream of Things That Never Were, the Ken Kunken story. Thank you for sharing this space with us on Heart to Heart with Abagaba. I hope this conversation inspired you to keep moving forward in hope and light. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone you love. Leave us a review and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a moment of inspiration, connection, and joy. May your home be filled with peace, your heart with joy, and your spirit with the quiet strength of love. Until next time, take care of your heart, take care of each other, and keep celebrating the love that makes us family.